Bakugou had been sitting inside the stuffy interrogation room for at least 5 hours. The fact that these suits were taking so long was intimidating him. Was the fact they were taking so long a good thing or a bad thing? Katsuki had a lot of confidence, but when the people he was interacting with were not only not from Japan, but also part of an organization that was more or less in charge of the entire planet, he couldn't help but be truly intimidated. The GDE, the Global Defense Effort, a military organization originating from Germany, had gained immeasurable power since the destruction in Japan caused by All for One and Tomura Shigaraki, and an event known as the death of the American Dream. The GDE now no longer had just facilities in Japan, America, and Europe, but all around the globe. Even in China, and they were allowed free reign as well. Leading the GDE was the Council, a group of 7 members, only one of which was known to the public. Germany's leader himself, Saint Otto Ludwig Apocalypse the Holy Blade. Bakugou gulped as the scientist he had been speaking with re-entered the room, a huge pack of files in hand, placing them on the table before the explosive blonde. "You are remarkable," said the white-clad doctor. Bakugou gulped. "The GDE will be happy to have you." The man then opened the top file, about 5 papers. On the first one, Bakugou could clearly see his own photo. "I will be direct with you, Mr. Bakugou. Your loyalty score is high. 9 von... I will be direct with you, Mr. Bakugou. Your loyalty score is high. 9 von 10. Bakugou furrowed his brows. He didn't see that coming. As you know, the GDE's loyalty test is the test made up of 500 personalized questions, out of which we calculate a potential chance for partnership. Due to your results, we will be speaking more open with each other, as you're aware of what we can do to you, your loved ones, and your country if a push comes to shove." Bakugou gulped. All of his hairs were standing up. This incredibly thinly veiled threat was being taken serious despite the silly accent. The interviewer now went through the results of Bakugou, explaining why he got such a high score, and that this high score will allow him to get the best paying job the GDE offered to its non-agents such as him: the role of a caretaker. Bakugou inhaled to calm his nerves. This is why he was here. His best friend Ijiro Kirishima already went through this program, and he made a lot of money from it. Sadly though, the Red had refused to say anything other than taking care of a disabled kid, as he had so eloquently put it. The fact it was a job given by the Global Defense Effort had to mean something big though. In fact, here in Japan, there are many children and adults in the GDE custody who would require one. Don't worry, the subject you will be assigned to has a very good return rate. I believe so far only 1 fatality since containment procedures have been put in place. You will definitely like her. Bakugou opened his mouth a bit to say something, but he waited for the scientist to give him the okay. With a gesture, he did so seconds later. "Who exactly will I be taking care of?" "GDE subject 0002. Bakugou blinked. "Don't think about the number. They're given away at random. It has nothing to do with the danger." Right. The German smiled. I will give you the file here. Taking the second folder, he pushed it towards the blonde. Bakugou opened it with shaking hands, his eyes going from left to right. Of course it wasn't written with Japanese letters, but he learned how to decipher this a while ago at UA. GD Subject 0002 was a woman 30 years of age, kept in suspended animation, asleep due to her quirk. As Bakugou read the quirk's description, he almost dropped the page. "This can't be real," he said out loud. "Mr. Bakugou, the quirk singularity is real." The blonde gulped. "Yeah, but this is too much." "No buts. What we do is important, not only for society, but, as you can clearly see, the fabric of reality itself." The woman's quirk, your quirk, was called Become God. A reality warping quirk so powerful it gave you the ability to bend reality to whatever you believed it was. The only time it was inactive was when you were asleep. The new reality would be replied retroactively, meaning whoever was alive at the time of the warp would remember what truly happened. This was good, as otherwise there would have been no way of figuring out the truth of your ability. Your quirk truly made you the god of this universe. Bakugou leaned back in the creaky interrogation chair he had been sitting in for so long. "You may now also understand why it was important to us that you weren't religious. We would not want you to see her as a higher being." "Honestly, I don't know what I'm more terrified of. This woman being as powerful as a god, or the fact you managed to capture and control her." He then pointed at the lower half of the file's text. Is this real?" The text described one of the tests that were conducted on you by the GDE to understand and control your quirk better. You had been given a file with the credentials of one of their deceased agents, with a simple change of their gender. Afterwards, the deceased agent was exhumed, and in fact, yes, he had become a she, down to their very DNA. "So how will I be taking care of her?" The scientist just smiled. It had been 3 days since the conversation. Bakugou was now inside of Site 5, of the Far East branch of the GDE. It was a huge white complex somewhere in the countryside, protected by heavy GDE forces. He was once again put through the ringer. Tests upon tests, scans upon scans. Katsuki was being treated like meat sent through processing. He hated it. The more he was being studied, the deeper he went into the complex. It was very sterile, smelled of disinfectant, like a hospital, but different, more oppressive, more evil, more determined. He knew just one really bad move would earn him an emptied magazine of one of the countless guards' weapons in the back, and those were truly terrifying. Despite only appearing to be a simple submachine gun, Bakugou recognized them as the anti-quirk guns created by the German weapons developer General Ballistics. Their weapons had gotten on the black market somehow, so he had to deal with them a few times already. The bullets they fired were powerful enough to leave scars even on people with powerful regeneration quirks, and could penetrate even the thickest gigantification quirk user's hide. So what did he have to throw at them? If a single hit of these could end his life. They really were bringing out the big guns, weren't they? Level 12, 0002 containment unit, said the announcement voice of the elevator he was on. Wow, An entire floor of this facility was dedicated just to you. That was impressive. Immediately, Bakugou was escorted by 3 guards who, while he was quiet, chatted with each other almost too casually. They put Bakugou inside of a tiny white room, with a single red skin suit, out of which many wires protruded from. He gulped. Over the intercom a voice came on. "Please put on the dreamer suit in front of you, caretaker 00276. Bakugou sighed and took off his clothes, forcing himself into the uncomfortably tight suit. It was difficult to move his body in this thing. The cables were very tightly hugging his body and quite thick. Another door opened. "Please step through the decontamination chamber." After an extensive decontamination process, which left his hair drenched, he entered the final chamber. A completely white room, filled to the top with computers. Inside were 5 scientists in white hazmat suits. And in the middle of the room floated you, inside of a liquid-filled tank. You looked younger than you truly were, your body not aged a day since you had been placed into your eternal sleep at the age of 12. Hard to believe you were 30. Next to the tube was a second, empty one, clearly meant for him. One of the hazmat suit-wearing men guided him through the procedure. The cables of his suit were inserted into the machine, before he was given a breathing mask that was inserted into the top of the machine. A final tube was inserted into the mask, requiring him to open his mouth to let the tube inside. This was his feeding tube. After he was secured inside your dream, it would extend into his stomach, so he could be fed. The glass door sealed, and thick blue liquid was slowly beginning to rise from his feet. It was pleasantly warm, and had the consistency of slightly watery jelly. His heartbeat increased as he became buoyant. The liquid was a preserving agent that would keep his body from aging too rapidly while in sleep. It would keep him healthy and clean. He closed his eyes when the liquid reached them, and then everything went dark. His feet felt ground, not harshly. It was more like he had been slowly floating towards it for an unknown amount of time. He didn't dare to open his eyes, even as light began to hit his face. It was quiet. Didn't dare move. But he could feel the heaviness of the skin suit having been removed. Despite him being unclothed, he didn't feel any shame, yet. At least not until 2 warm hands took hold of his face. He opened his eyes, only to be met by you. He blushed hard. You definitely didn't look 12 now. You look age-appropriate. Unclothed just like him, with a very well-developed body to boot. The perfect woman. He gasped as he looked at your face. You were just a bit taller than him. Your hair so long it covered up your chest. "So, are you my new toy?" you asked. Your voice was clear, beautiful, angelic even. He didn't say anything, just stared. I see. You're one of those. You leaned forward, gently kissing his forehead. Your lips were warm, comforting. I can sense that I will like you. They did a good job picking you. You stepped aside, revealing the landscape before him. It was white. Just white. The entire horizon so bright. Nothingness. While the floor was the direct opposite. Black, a pure void. On his naked feet, it felt like glass. "Come, let's talk," you said. Out of the void, 2 chairs emerged. He could clearly see them against the white backdrop. He sat down before you as you ever so slightly floated above yours with your legs crossed, arms hanging down. "Tell me who you are," you asked calmly. He blinked. "Come on. These will be very boring 100 years if you don't play along." I thought it's only 6 months, interjected Bakugou immediately. No. In here, 6 months are 100 years. That's how long it takes. He gulped. The spot where you kissed him still felt hot, like a warm, wonderful presence, and it distracted him. He was genuinely, truthfully, very attracted to you. My name is Katsuki Bakugou. You floated forward from your chair, coming closer to his face, until only a mere inch apart. He got lost in your beautiful eyes immediately. "You must have a lot of questions. Let me answer them," you said. "For 6 months you will be in this simulation, created to cater to me. To put it simple, they reset the simulation whenever I become aware again of my situation, to keep me asleep, to keep me dreaming of a world better than real life." Bakugou gulped loudly in response. "What would you like? Fantasy? Science fiction?" You inhaled. "How would you like to live in a world where there are no quirks? I can make all of that happen." You placed a finger on his chin, forcing him to look straight at you, floating above him. "Anything you desire. This is my dream, my world, my reality." Silence followed. Your lips curled up into an evil smile, as your beautiful visage was twisted into a devilish grin going from ear to ear. He gulped. Bakugou was resistant for most of his life, arrogant and violent. If in the real world someone dared to talk like you, or even look at him like you just did, he would react with an instant insult and maybe even a punch or two. But he was afraid. You snapped your fingers, and out of the darkness of the void a child appeared, dressed in rags. But worst of all, it looked like him when he was 5. This child form was on all fours, crying. After a second snap, another him appeared. About 16, dressed well, clean, even had a dagger-sized sword on his belt. Upon the third snap, showed him as an adult, dressed in a beautiful golden armor. "We are going with fantasy. I decided that. But I just want to know who you will be." "As far as I'm concerned, I don't care. I won't have any trouble turning you into a little street urchin, like that toddler right there, destined to starve at the side of the road, or turn you into a rich kid who has all the desires met, like that boy in the middle. Or I make you a hero, dressed in golden armor." You took hold of him, pressed your body against his, your noses touching as your hands caressed the skin of his back, pushing him down onto the ground. Now, straddled on top of him, you looked down at your little toy.
I'm Bakugou Katsuki, number 3 hero of Japan. I can do whatever you throw at me.
Ooh, fire. I can feel it burning inside you. Your hands massaged his muscular chest lovingly. What will you do in my world, number 3 hero of Japan? Will you save it? Will you burn it with that ambition of yours? Will you be a hero or a villain?
I will save whatever world you create from any threat you throw at it.
Here's the deal. You will not remember this conversation. You will not remember who you were, but you will realize it before me. Most definitely. I will make sure of that. And it will be your goal to keep me from knowing the truth of the world. Keep it from me for as long as possible.
How will I learn from it? How will I learn the truth? Tell me.
Trust me. You will find it. I'll make sure of it. You lowered your head, nibbling at his earlobe before whispering. So be it then. Let's make love. And when you wake up tomorrow, you will be a new you. Bakugou awoke, covered in sweat. He had a terrible nightmare. His mother was calling him from downstairs. The boy, not older than 9, rubbed his eyes before jumping out of his straw bed. "Coming, Mom!" he shouted, as he rushed out of his small room. For his entire life, Bakugou had lived on his parents' farm, tending to the animals, helping his father and mother on the fields, and spending time with you, his friend since he can remember. With a smile, he thought of the times when the two of you laid in the fields outside of your village, staring at clouds while talking about wanting to become the world's greatest adventurers. Truly, both of your ambitions were like fire in your chests. Hey, thank you for watching my video until the end. If you're new here, I hope you stick around and watch a few more. But before I say goodbye, I'd like to remind you to like the video and subscribe. That really helps the YouTube algorithm. That's all. Hope you have a good day. Until next time. Bye!